talking right now this way I normally talk. Hello. Fundamentals of Church Music, Module 3, Harmony. And that's a ding. I think that was a praise the Lord ding. All right. So I'm going to do just a real brief review. One of the most basic elements of harmony is the triad. And the triad, you'll see the triad, there's 4 different types. There's a major, a minor, a diminished, and an augmented. So there's a formula for how those triads are made, and that's in your notes. Oh, you know what? Amber, you got one? Good. Okay. So that's in your notes. You'll want to pay attention to that. We also talked about that as a triad progresses in a major scale, it progresses in Roman numerals. So we use Roman numerals like this Roman numeral 1. Sec here. There we go. So we use this Roman numeral system to indicate the note and whether it's major or minor. So a Roman numeral 1 is a major 1 chord, or 2 little i's would be a minor 2 chord. And then, so minor 3 chord right there, major 4, major 5, minor 6. The little circle there that you see is a diminished 7th. And so a lot of information on this. Probably the thing that I want you to get the most from it are the notes. So the note spelling, so C-E-G, D-F-A, and then the triad numbers, probably the most important things that I want you to get from there. And what you'll also notice is that this all follows the intervals. Remember when we talked about intervals out of Module 1? So you'll see a lot of this just repeating. It just builds upon all that. And then we talked about A natural. Your notes are wrong on here. It should say subtonic and not leading tone. So it should say subtonic. And so that's that. I don't want to spend it. We talked about triad inversion, and inversion is determined by the note in the bottom of the chord structure. So if the note is on the 1 of the triad, it's just root position. If it's on the second note of the triad, it's first inversion. And if it's on the the third note, it's second inversion, all right? So just be aware of inversion. And inversion is used to create more variety in the sound. Also, it's used a lot of times in part writing so that you're not doing a lot of hard parallel motion or parallel fifths that makes it sound a little rough in the music. Okay, so now let's go to some things. As you look at music, and we got some examples we're going to work through. We're going to spend most of our time on application to try to help with understanding this. But I want you to know that there's something called non-harmonics. And these are notes, many times they're just in passing in a melody, they just kind of pass through. They do not fit into the chord structure, all right? They're on, and you can see that. So these items that are circled in red are non-harmonics. They have all different names. I don't care whether you know the names. I just want you to know that there's non-harmonics. All right, so you can see here's some going down. Whoops. Non-harmonics going down. Non-harmonics kind of doing this. Here's one going up. Here's one that kind of dips. And here's one that kind of jumps and comes back down. But these are all non-harmonics. There's other types of non-harmonics. There's suspensions, and those add a lot of color. And sometimes you've heard me say in choir directing, I'll say that's a suspension, and then we resolve it. So I'll talk about stuff like that. So I don't care as much about you knowing all these different types, but I want you to understand that there are non-harmonics. And then I copied this page out of a textbook that I have, just more ways of noting it. And I thought it had some good information about stepwise and stuff like that approach. Okay, now let's go to seventh chords. There is a chord called a seventh chord, and you'll see that here. And what it is it's a triad with an additional note that is the seventh above the root. Okay? So the root of the triad. So if you go 7 up, so if you remember in our intervals, when we were talking about intervals, you go a seventh up from the root of that triad, and that's what these are. So a dominant seventh, or also known as this is built on the C triad. So a C7 would have a flat 7. So you can see that here's the 1, there's the 3, there's the 5, and right here is the 7. And the 7 happens to be flatted in this C7 here. There's other types of 7s. You can have a major 7th. That's where you don't flat the 7th. You can have a C minor 7, and you can see where you've got the minor and you've got a flat 7. You can diminish it, so you can see there's actually a double flat right there. Or you can augment. So, or do a half diminished, I'm sorry, not augment, half diminished. So those are just some different types. The most common one you're going to see in church music is going to be this C7, or just a dominant 7. Okay, and it might not be a C7, it might be a D7, it might be an E7, whatever key you're in, A flat 7. So it just that's what you're going to most commonly see. Sevenths have ways of behaving also, so I've got you a chart there, a lot of information. So a way of noting it, if it's a seventh, here's one way to note it. So it's Roman numeral 1 for the triad, and then you throw the 7 on it. So you've got the triad piece, and then you've got that it's a 7th. And this is just major. So it follows pretty much everything you've seen before. You got your note spelling, C-E-G-B, for a C7. Seventh chords can be inverted, or they have inversion. So if the low note is the root, so what's our key here? What key are we in? 1 sharp, what key is that?
Major, minor.
Good question. Major. Let's go major. Good question. G. You're right. Key of G. So if the low note here is, what note is that? G. So if the bottom note is G, that's the root of a G chord, or G7. So this would be root position. If we go to the third note, GB, so that would be first inversion. So B would make it a first inversion. GBD, D would make it the second inversion. And GBDF makes it third inversion. So you can have 3 different inversions on a 7th chord. Where on just a triad, you only have the 2 inversions. Okay. 8, this right here is only so you know there's all kinds of stuff out there. There's not going to be any test on anything in section 8. Just be aware, there's everything under the sun that you can almost imagine that's out there. So there's such a thing as a C9, and then here's a C major 9. Right here, C major 9, and you got a C minor 9. If there's a gap, it's called an add 9, and then here you've got some other ways of looking at things. Here's a C major, but then here's a C sus4, and what makes it a sus4 is that there's a fourth in there, and there's the fourth right there. So C sus4. C6, you'll see the 6 thrown in a lot of jazz type music. So this is the 6th, C6. Here's a C sus9. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff. So here's a big old gap in between here, and that's a 13th. So now that's a C add 13. So I mean, all kinds of things you'll see out there, but generally not that many in church music. So, no, I just want you to know that there's other things out there besides what we're talking about. Okay, let's talk about blocked versus broken chords. So, for the most part, everything I've shown you so far is a blocked chord. Examples, so the blocked chords are found vertically. So like if you see how this right here lines up, that's really more of a blocked chord. And here's another alignment. So these are really more blocked chords. Chords don't have to be blocked, okay? They can be written as single tones in a succession or in what sometimes is called an arpeggiated pattern. So here is a chord pattern. All of these notes here form a chord pattern. All right, now, something else I want to show you. In a lot of music, it's in some of our choir music, it's this way. A lot of the solo music will do this. They will also write the chord structure, or the chord, above where the chords take place. Now, when they do that, you see this G with a line and a D that's right here. So what that is that's a G chord with a D in the bottom. D on the low note. So here's the D, and then it's a G chord. So I've actually met people that they play the piano based upon just those chords. They don't even look at the notes. They look at the chords, they play the piano, and that's what they do. So that's one way of doing things. Now, I believe the editor made a mistake right here, because I don't see a C minor 7 in that. Jose, do you see a C minor 7 there?
I see an A. This is A
minor. I'm sorry, A minor. Do you see an A minor 7? I don't see one.
Yeah, it's a minor 7th above a D.
Yeah.
I see, there's a minor 7th above a D.
But it's not an A minor.
No. It means that the 7th above the D is minor.
Yes.
That's what it means.
Yes. But I don't see the A.
Right. That, I don't know about that either.
I think, so sometimes editors will make mistakes, and I think that one is.
Yeah.
I think this is really better described as a C minor 7 over D.
Yeah.
That's what I would describe it as. Okay, so broken chords versus blocked chords. Okay? And when you're at the piano, let's say you want to learn piano or you want to learn guitar, you can take your pick and you can arpeggiate the guitar, or you can strum the guitar. Okay? Strumming is more like a blocked chord, where broken chords would be where you're picking individual notes in the chord structure. Okay, so that's just an example. There's another thing called an altered chord, and the difference between this first chord here, or this first, actually, if I can find it, the difference between these non-harmonics and altered chords is, if you notice on the non-harmonics, there's no accidentals. They're fitting in with whatever the key signature is. So they go along with the key signature. You can alter things, and that's called an altered chord. So those are chords that don't belong to the key or the scale of the key in which the composition is written. Okay? Now there are some exceptions. Each chord will display one or more notes preceded by an accidental to indicate the alteration. And then the exception is if it's a melodic minor, the accidentals where you've got a raised sixth or a raised seventh is not an altered chord. Yes?
I like your definition of non-harmonic tones before you had clarified the difference between them and altered chords, because I agree with you that non-harmonic tones don't fit within the chord structure. and they can belong, they can be part of the key or they don't have to be part of the key. That's what makes them non-harmonic. It doesn't
Right.
matter. Yeah, so like you can have an accidental in front of a non-harmonic, and it still fit the definition of a non-harmonic tone, which means that it doesn't fit within the chord structure. And so I was just saying, because I'm like, I've seen many non-harmonic tones that also don't fit within the key as well, but it's because they also don't happen to fit within the chord. So
Right.
I was just going to say that. I like
Okay.
the definition,
Okay.
the first definition.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to do is show you when I survey the wondrous cross. So, and now we're going to start layering in the chords. So if we look at this, okay, so what's our key? One flat. What is one flat? Yes. So we're in the key of F. So that means a one chord would be spelled as F-A-C, right? So if we look here, there's the F, there's the A, there's the C, and there's another F. So this is an F-A-C in the key of F, which means it is a major one chord. All right? So the next note, and these are blocked chords, so you notice they're stacked right on top of each other. So this is an example of a blocked chord. So then we've got another F-A-C chord. Then we switch to a different chord. What? Well, I've already got the answers here. So this is a C-E-G chord. So you got your C, C, E, and G. All right? So if this is a C-E-G chord, what position is this C-E-G chord in? Is it root, first, or second?
First.
Mm-mm.
C's on the bottom.
So that means
It's a C-E-G chord. C's root. Yeah,
Right.
right. Okay, and a C-E-G chord in the key of F is a 5 chord. So it's a major 5, so we use a Roman numeral 5. All right, so then if we look at this next, we have, here's an F.
Question.
Yeah,
So with intervals, there is no major 5, but it would be like a perfect fifth or a diminished fifth or augmented fifth. But with chords, it's either major or minor,
no,
or
no,
diminished or.
yeah, there's the 4 chords.
There is no perfect chord.
No.
Yeah, those are
Okay. Just asking.
Good observation. Good question. Okay, going on. So here we've got a chord. Here's an F. Got an F right here. Got a C. Got another F. And got an A. So that's an F-A-C chord, which F-A-C in the key of F is a 1 chord. So major 1. What position is this in? F is in the bottom. So what position is this chord in?
First inversion.
Nope. Nope. Root. F in the bottom. F-A-C chord, F. Okay? Don't worry, there'll be more of them. Okay, so now we move to the next chord. So now we've got a B flat. We've got a D and a G. So that actually becomes a G, B flat, D chord. And G is a minor, G is a minor second chord. So we use that. What inversion is this? It's a G, B flat, D chord. B flat is in the bottom. What inversion is that?
Is it root first?
No, it's just the same answer you said last time.
First.
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 First. That's great.
Why is it first again?
First, okay, so the G would be root. The B is first inversion. The D is second inversion, if it's in a root.
I was looking at the letters and not the...
Jordan, think of it like computer counting. There's always a 0. 0, 1, 2, 3.
I'll get the next one.
It's a 0. Okay.
He's fine.
Yeah.
I'll get the
Okay, now, this right here is an interesting chord.
Yes.
Very interesting. It's an F sharp A C. Now, we're in the key of F. So an F sharp is a half step up. It's a lot of color. So it's a minor, or it's a sharped 1 diminished. And it is an example of an altered chord. So we have altered it.
Do you know what specific alter chord it is? Because that alter chords are just chords that don't fit within the key signature, so that's like an umbrella of altered chords.
I wasn't going to
Okay.
go into that level of detail.
Wait. Dude, you should.
There's certain things I wanted people to.
Okay.
I'm trying not to get too complicated, but yes, yeah. But no, I prefer not to. Okay, so then we go from this sharped, diminished 1 chord. Oh, by the way, what position is this in? We got an A in the bottom. What position is this in?
That should be a first inversion.
Yes. 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 Okay. Now let's go to the next one. We got a G. We got a D. We got another G, and we got a B flat. Oh, I should have probably put those as dots afterwards. That could mean something. Okay. So now we've got G, D, G, B flat, and G, B flat, D is a minor in the key of F. It's a minor chord, and it's a minor 2. Okay? Pretty cool. What inversion is this?
Root.
Root. That's right, root. Okay, moving on. Now we've got a C. Here's a C, here's a C, here's an F, and here's an A. So that spells FAC. And FAC is a 1 chord. It's major in the key of F. What position is that one in?
Second.
Yes, second. Okay, good. And now we bring these 2 little notes down, and now we still have the C. So the C is still sounding right here. For those 2 little notes, that C is still going to sound, and we got a C, E, G, which is a 5 chord. And if the C is in the low note on a C, E, G 5 chord, what position is this chord in? Root. You get it. And then, as most of the music we sing, it'll resolve back to the original triad or original chord that goes along with the key. So here we've got an F, C, F, A. So FAC, that's a 1 chord, and we've got an F in the bottom, which means it's in root position. Okay? Well, I've got a bunch of exercises we're going to go through together when we start applying it a little bit. Okay, modulation. I want to talk briefly about modulation. There's a lot you can do with modulation, but I do want to cover just a few things because it's one way you get from 1 chord or 1 key to another key, all right? So you can progress from 1 key to a new key. You use modulation to do that. It can be temporary or it can be permanent. Sometimes we switch If you look at some of the music we sing in the choir, we may start out in one key, modulate to another key, and before we end, be in a third key. So a lot of our pieces will move through 3 different keys. Some of them will start in one key, modulate to a different key, then go back to the original key. Some of them just keep changing keys. So just different things that can be done. So there's closely related keys, and your circle of fifths that you had from module 1, your closely related keys there's 5 of them. They have either the same key signature or they add one accidental. Either way. Could be, or take away an accidental. Has same key as or one accidental more or less than the original key. So, here's key of C. The close-in keys are A minor, G, E minor, F, and D minor. Those are your close-in related keys. And you can just go around your circle. If I wanted to say, what are the closely related keys to E flat major? It's C minor, A flat major, F minor, B flat major, and G minor. So those are your closely related keys. Okay, remote keys or anything else? Anything else is a remote key. In general, the 2 common techniques are to find what's called a common chord or a pivot chord, sometimes called a pivot chord. And all that is that's a triad. So if you're in a particular key, you hit a triad that's a triad in the new key. So in other words, you find a note, a triad that's in both the key you're in and you're going to, and that's your pivot chord. Then there's direct modulation. That's where you don't do anything to help get you there easily. You're in one key, and boom, you're in the next one. And the best example I could think of was looking for a city like the Goodmans, where they just keep ratcheting up, half step, half step, half step. They keep ratcheting up till finally the tenor or the soprano is way up in the atmosphere. But they do hard or direct modulation. Okay. I put this chart in here. Thought this would be really good. So in just your normal diatonic or chords within your key signature, the progressions, this kind of gives you a way that things can be progressed. And you'll see this in some of the music we're going to analyze in just a few minutes. So the 1 chord, the reason this right here is, actually let me use a different color. The 1 chord can go to any chord. All right, so you can take this 1 chord to a 3 chord. Or you could take it to a 4 chord or a 5. You could take it to any of these chords. So that's why the 1 has a dashed line. In general, okay, this is in general, because sometimes musicians or artists will do something a little different for a reason. But in general, the chord progressions will follow as you see here. So 1 chord goes anywhere. If it goes to a 3 chord, generally the 3 chord will go to a 4 chord. Actually, you can't see what I'm drawing here. Generally, a 3 chord will go to a 4 chord. And then a 4 chord could go to a 2 chord. And then it could go to a 5 chord. And then it could go to a 1 chord. So that's an example of a progression. Another progression, real common progression, especially in the 50s, you could have a 1 chord going to a 6 chord, 6 chord to a 4 chord, 4 chord to a 5 chord, 5 chord to a 1 chord. You see how those blue arrows work? So I mean, this is just generally how progressions go, and I'll try to play a few of these for you at the piano. Let me take this, actually I'll take a paper copy. I think I got a paper copy. And I'm going to call out the chord structure. So I'm in a 1 chord. So I can take the 1 chord to a 6 chord, to a 4 chord, to a 5 chord, back to a 1 chord. So that's a very common progression. It was real popular in the 50s. 1 chord to a 4 chord to a 6 chord. Hear how it hear how you might want to use something like that as you're trying to maybe put some harmony to some words. 6 chord to a 1 chord, or to a 5 chord is where I want to go next. Then to a 1 chord. So let me play that without too much gabbing. 1 chord, 4 chord, 6 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, I think chords and how they progress, I think they're exciting. Okay, so let me do this a different one. Let's go 1 chord to let's go 3 chord to a 6 chord to a 4 chord to a 1 chord. Isn't that neat sounding? I just love chord progressions. All right, let me go to something else on chord progressions. So this next line here, what we're trying to indicate here is if you have a melody, okay, so let's say you've got a melody, and you know, this is just a scale, right? Just a scale going up. It's a G scale going up. So if you got a melody, the notes or the chords that can harmonize with that melody note. So if I had a G, I could harmonize it with any of these 3 here. A 1 chord, a 4 chord, or a 6 chord. All right? If I had an A, it could be harmonized with a 2 chord, a minor 2, and we're in a major scale. A minor 2, a diminished 7, or a major 5th. And so forth. So here, if I had this note, a B, in the key of G, and actually, I said key of G, but it doesn't matter. It's any key. It's these numbers work for any key. So if I'm on the 3rd note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, the 3rd note of the scale, I could harmonize that to a 1 chord, a 3 chord, or a 6 chord. Okay? And so forth. And you can see this. Now, what I want you to notice, and this is really important, like Amber, as you learn guitar, this is really important. Notice 1 or 4 here, 5 here, 1 here, 4 here, 1 and 5, 4, 5, 1 and 4. You can harmonize every melody with just 3 chords. Wow. If you learn 3 chords, you can play a lot of music with just 3 chords. And then the other chords end up just being extra color. So you can harmonize to 1, 4, and 5 just about everything. And if you've ever heard me talk about 1, 4, 5, that's what I'm talking about. Is is that the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, you can harmonize to just about anything.
Is the reason why chords can harmonize with that note, is the reason because that note appears in those chords?
Yes, absolutely. So if we look at this, well, not the 7th chord. If we look at this major, C major chord, and let's look at the G, this chord has a G in it. This chord has a G in it. This chord has a G in it. So that's a 1, a 3, and a 5. And I think the G, we were on the G, which was the 5th. So if we go to the 5th one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, and 5. Look at that. Pretty cool. All you need to know are 3 chords. There is a statement about gospel music that it's 3 chords and the truth. So anyway, all right, nice. Okay, doxology. Here's doxology. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. So I've got the chords and the numbers. And really, what I was put this in here for is more to show you this major diatonic progression taking place in doxology. So as we go through this, I want you to follow it along in your paper. Follow this chart here along, and you'll see how doxology fits right into that. Okay, so we've got a 1 chord. We start on a 1 chord. We're in the key of G, right? So we're in the key of G. And we're on a 1 chord, which is a GBD chord. And we hit it. We've got 2 GBD chords in a row. Then we go to a 5 chord, which is the DFA chord. All right? So 1 to 5, because a 1 can go anywhere. Now, this then goes to an E minor, which is an EGB chord, E minor, which is a 6 chord. And if you look at your chart, the 5 can go to a 6. Then from there, it goes to a B minor chord, which is a minor 3rd, or a minor 3 chord, BDF chord, minor 3rd, or it's a 3rd, minor 3rd. And you'll see that on your chart. Then from there, we go back to this minor 6 triad, which is the E minor, EGB. And then we go to a 5 chord, so you can see the 3, or the 6, going DFA. So we got a DFA chord. And that one doesn't quite fit the chart. Okay, so that one doesn't fit the chart. So DFA, and then we go to the GBD chord. So here's the GBD. And that's back to the 1. You guys see that? Glazed looks, okay. All right, so we're on a G chord. We stay on a G chord. Here's another G, 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 GBD. That's your 3 notes in a G chord. Then we go to a D chord, which is a 5, DFA. We go to another E minor, which is a 6 chord, minor 6, EGB. Then we go to a C chord, which is the 4 chord, CEG. Then back to a G, GBD. Then to a DFA, which is the 5, and you can see the progression, how it goes. Then the 5 goes to an E minor, then back to the 5, then to the 1, to a major 5, major 1, major 4, major 5, and to back to the GBD. Okay? And it just keeps going. Same thing. Now, the Roman numeral system, you can say, okay, I don't care, I want to put it in another key. You can use a Roman numeral system to help you put it in another key to transpose. So it's a good way to transpose. You just use your Roman numerals and you just play the 1 in whatever key you want to, and then you just stay in that key. All right, I put this chart in. The next chart is the same chart, but it's for a minor diatonic. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I don't know that you'll see a lot of that. You'll see some, but not a lot. But that's in there just so you've got that. All right, let's go to application. So, BIBLE. Let's analyze BIBLE. So, what key is the BIBLE in?
D.
That's right. Key of D. So, what time signature?
4/4.
4/4, absolutely. Okay, so let's look at this first one. What is the very first chord that the word "the" is on? D. Correct. So we got a D. And what is the D chord in the key of D?
1.
It is 1. Yeah. So this is Roman numeral 1. Let me see if I can get that a little bigger. Okay. What's the next? Oh, what position is this chord in? Root. Okay, good. Okay, what are the next 3 notes? What chords are those?
Nick, what notes are you talking about?
I'm sorry. What chords are these next 3 notes?
So D chord, but different.
Yes, it's a D chord. It's a D triad. It's just a D.
Yeah.
It's just a D.
It's a D.
So here's your D. Here's you can't
It's
see.
not-
Yeah, here's your D. Here's your F. Here's your A, and it just happens to have another D in there. It's a DFA, D chord, and D F sharp A. I should say F sharp in there. Okay, so it's a D chord. Next 3 notes are still the D chord. Now we come to this guy right here. This guy right here. What is he?
It's still a D chord?
Yes, it's a D chord. It's just played a little bit different notes, but it's the same D chord. So here's your D, here's a D, here's the F, and here's the A. It's a DFA. It's a D major triad, and that's an F sharp, I should say. Okay, next one. What's this? This one.
Still a D.
It's a D chord. Yeah. How about this one? Anyone know? Well, that one's a gimme. It's a D chord. So these are all D chords. Think that might be easy to play on a guitar? Let's see. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so let's go on. All right. What's this next? What's this one right here? What is this note right here?
G.
G. Yeah. And what Roman numeral is G in the key of D?
4.
Yes. And it's a major 4. Okay? All right, so what inversion is that chord in? It's a G chord. What inversion is it in? Root. Yeah.
If it's in root position, it's not, technically it's not an inversion then. It's just in the root position.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Usually I ask my students what position is it in.
Yeah.
Because if I say inversion, they might think it's an inversion. So I usually tend to ask them what position it's in so that way they can, it covers all things.
Yeah.
The position is.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Okay, we're going to skip the next two notes. Here's another note here. What is this note?
Still a G.
You got it. And we're still in a G chord. How about this one? What's that? Oh me, oh my. What's happened here? What's that?
It's still a G.
It's a G chord. And of course, the next one is a G too. All right, so now we've got that figured out. What's going on down here on the B-I-B-L-E? We got something that changed on us. What's going on here? What chord is this?
That's an A chord.
Yes.
A7.
Yes, it's an A7. Absolutely. And an A, what Roman numeral would an A be in the key of D?
5.
Yeah. So this is a 5 chord. And then we've got, okay, so this is pretty obvious. It stays 5. What's going on here?
It's still an A chord.
Okay. Okay.
But it's probably not an A7.
Oh, sweet! Yes! You got it! Actually, I circled too much. Circled too much. You got it.
Cameron's got the keys of the smarts.
There we go. Okay. How about this one? What's this one?
Also non-harmonic.
Yeah, I'd go non-harmonic.
I would disagree. So,
Is it a 5/7?
I would
Wait.
say the 5/7.
Yeah, it's a 5/7. I'm sorry. 5/7. Yep, it's the 5/7. Okay, and here, what's this one?
Back to the 5 chord, the A7.
5/7. All right, so if that's a 5/7, that means these others are 5/7s. What do we have here? Okay. And here we've got several things going on. Actually, this one you already know because we've already had one of these. 5/7, 5/7, and what's this? Just keep it simple.
Is that an inverted chord?
G, B, T with an A beneath it.
It's not harmonic.
Non-harmonic.
The whole thing fits under an A7, so
Yes.
the D and the B are passive.
He's right. And what I'm going to, the way I'll show you how to do this is you only need 4 chords to do this whole thing. I mean 3 chords. You only need 3 chords. let's just call it a non-harmonic. That's keeping it simple. All right, and then I'm going to go to this final one. What is this final chord structure here?
D.
Yes. D, and what is that? What Roman numeral? 1. Okay. So if you think of this as, I'm going to play a 1 chord, a 4 chord. So I got a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord, 5/7. Actually, I didn't put my 7 on it. I got a 5/7. You can play this on the piano with 3 chords, or on a guitar with 3 chords. Pretty nice, pretty cool. Let me see if I can do that. I love this stuff. I think this is really neat. Because the non-harmonics, you can have people sing those. Here we go. Let's see if we can do it without any mistakes. Oops, that's a mistake. Here we go. The B-I-B-L-E. That's, yes, that's the book for me. I stand, whoops, stand. Oh, gotta get out of the spiners. Stand, there we go. On the word of God, the B-I-B-L. And we're going to a D. All right, isn't that cool? 3 chords. I'm going to do something else for you. I just happen to have this. I'm not guaranteed anything. 3 chords. 3 chords.
Is that a Mary Poppins bag back there?
Okay.
What's that?
I said you have a Mary Poppins bag back there?
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
It's a nothing.
Oh, okay. So what I say is we're going to do a D chord. The B-I-B-L-E. Yes, that's the book for me. Let's see, let's go to an A chord. Stand alone, or stand on the word of God. Each time I got nervous. The B-I-B-L, and then to a D. 3 chords, and the truth. Pretty simple, pretty neat. And I didn't do I did not do the A7, which I could have done. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. Oh, let me tell you something else you can do. With a guitar, Amber, I know you're interested in guitar. So you can cheat. You can use a thing called a capo. And you just put your capo on. And you don't have to know how to do the other keys. You just put that capo on, and all you got to do is learn 3 chords. A 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord. And then you can use your capo to go to different keys, and you just keep playing the same chords. All right, so anyway. Pretty cool. All right, now, my faith has found a resting, whoops, what did I do? My faith has found a resting place. Let's look at that. Okay, my faith has found a resting place. Let's analyze our chords on this. All right. First off, what key are we in? The key of G. You bet. Key of G. Means we got an F sharp. Okay, what's the very first chord? G. And a G is a 1 chord, right? Right or wrong? Okay. And it's going to be major. All right, so we keep that chord. Oh, and what inversion is it? Or position is this in? Root. You bet. Okay, so same chord here. All right, here's a different chord. What is this chord?
Is it still D?
Nope.
Is it not harmonic?
No.
Here's a C. Here's a C. Here's a E. And a pair of G's. C, E, G. So if it's a C, E, G chord,
4.
you bet. Oops. C. Okay. What inversion is that C chord?
You mean position?
Position, yes, thank you. Thank you. What position?
Second. Root.
C, E, G chord?
Second.
Second. Yeah, second. Okay, so now we've got this one. This one looks familiar like the first one, so we're just going to skip it. We're going to say it's a G chord because it looks just like the other one. Now we've got another chord here. What is this? This one right here. What's that guy? Here's a G. Here's a G. Here's a B. There's a D. And there's a G. G, B, D. Did she say that?
No, I
She was thinking it, I could read her mind.
Oh, okay. It's a G chord. It's a G chord. It's a G chord. But
Is it
Position.
what position is it in? What position is this G chord in?
First.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes. Okay. Next chord. What's this one? Ooh.
Oof.
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe this is going back, but is the first line or the first notes, is that always root and then you go off of that for everything else? Or can like the first notes be first or second? They can, they're not always root. Okay.
It's traditionally though, it's root position helps to establish like your tonal center.
Yep.
Because it's in the bass.
Yep.
So it's not a hard rule, but it's just good to do.
Basses really have a hard time starting anywhere else but on the root.
The good basses don't, but it's a good rule.
All right.
That's sarcastic.
What is this? What is this chord right here? Amber, I think you know what that one is.
I think you're thinking I know more than I did.
Just because it's been in your
Wait, is it G?
repertoire, it's been in your repertoire answers. It's not G chord, it's what?
C,
No.
D?
B,
A?
just throw them all out there.
is it a non-harmonic?
I would call it a non-harmonic. I would call it a non-harmonic. I think you could get really fancy on it, but it's not worth it. Okay. Next. What is this one?
That's C-E-G.
Yes. So that must be that. So what Roman numeral goes with the CEG?
Second?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's before.
What's second?
No, it's not second, she said four.
I said four.
She held up 4 fingers. I saw 4 fingers.
I said four.
Oh, I heard
Oh.
second.
Whoops. Actually, yeah, I meant to put that there. Okay. What else? So we keep that same chord, then we come to this. there's other things besides non-harmonics. There's altered chords.
Look at that sheet every time, he's feeding me answers, that's why I know some of these. I'm sure he knows. But some of them I did know.
She's not trusting me anyway, so it's not what
What did he say to
He
you?
said
Altered
altered
chord.
That is correct. That is an altered chord.
matters. Don't trust me, though, so
It is an altered chord.
that's all password.
No, I said it right.
What is the chord? First off, what are the notes in this chord? So we can figure out what chord it is, and then we'll determine what to assign it from a Roman numeral standpoint.
You got B,
Yes, there's a B,
G sharp,
there's a G sharp,
D,
yeah,
and an E.
yeah. So what might that spell? Let's say, here's an E, here's a G sharp, E, G, B, D, E, G, B, D. And it's a G sharp, so that's real important, yes. So an E, G sharp, B, D chord. What might that be?
5, 4, 3, 2.
E, we're in a key of G.
C sus 4.
No. Working too hard. Well, I will put something to help you. It is an E, 7. And it's E major, 7.
Can I qualify something?
Yes, sir.
Even if it just blows over people's heads and stuff like that. So in the analysis that you have on top, usually is what people will see to avoid the Roman numerals on the bottom, just because most people don't understand when it comes to altered chords that there's a special way to analyze them, and that's such a huge umbrella, like I said before, of how you analyze altered chords. And so I think that like doing the analysis up on the top like that helps to clear any kind of clutter or confusion, so that even for people who don't understand the concept of altered chords as opposed to diatonic chords, they can still play it correctly or sing it correctly or whatever, without having any kind of complications or anything like that.
Yeah, and remember, I said earlier, I've actually met people, they don't read music,
Right.
they just read the letters across the top and then they play it on the
Right. And
piano.
the majority of people don't do Roman numeral analysis anyway. That's pure analysis. It's not for reading music, it's for understanding it, but you don't actually have it there in the bottom to read it.
Yes, yeah, you won't see the Roman numerals
Right, you won't
printed,
see it.
correct. Okay, so E in the key of G is a
5.
all right, I called it a 6.
Where's this?
I called it a major 6. 7. That's what I got. Is that what you get, Jose?
No.
No, did you go 2?
No.
Wait.
And like I said, this will blow over. So like a 1 in major is in a major key is always going to be is always going to be major. If it's analyzed different, then it functions differently. So you have to analyze it as completely different.
Oh,
So, but you know, and I'm not going to go deep into it or anything like that. So like I can tell you what it is, but It's a five, it's a
Five.
five in second inversion of a 2 chord, which is what comes after it. But the idea is like, you know how we all have 5 chords in music. You know, you talked about the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord. And the 5 is built off the dominant, and we call it the dominant. But there are other chords that also act as dominants, but very temporary. So we give them another term called secondary dominance, which is what that is. It acts as a 5 chord, but not the true 5 chord of the key that you're in. So
Yeah, it's the 5
that's-
of.
it's a 5 of 2.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to stay away from that. Yeah.
push them in there. Let them know what it is. So there are primary dominants, which is part of the
Yeah.
key, and then there's secondary dominants, which are temporary.
Yeah. Okay, all right, moving on. Okay, so here comes another chord. What is this one?
It's an A chord.
Mm-hmm. What type of A chord is it?
A, C.
What is in the key of G? What is an A chord in the key of G? The second chord in the scale, what is it?
It's a 2.
It is a 2. It is a 2.
Minor.
It's a minor 2. 'cause
Yes, it's an A minor. Absolutely, A minor.
Because this is a major key.
Yes. Second, the triad built on the second note in the scale is minor. Okay, and it's a minor too. Okay, good, good. Okay, what's this one here? Next one?
This is a C chord.
C, E, A.
C or
No. There's a little A right here. There's another A right there. There's a C.
ACE?
Yeah, it's ACE. Absolutely. So it's just another A minor. It's just this. It's just in a different inversion or position. Okay. What's this one? Whoops. The next one. What's this? What is that one?
It's a D chord.
Is it a B chord?
Let's see what we got here. We have a D. We have a B. We have a G and a D. So a G, a B, and a D. GBD. In the key of G. So what chord do you think that is? GBD.
1.
That's a 1.
G.
Yes, it's a G chord. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, and then what's this next one? What's the next one? What are the notes? D, F, A. So what triad is it? D, F, sharp, A. Yes. It's a D. And what is a D in the key of G? What is a D chord in the key of G? It is a what number?
4.
Yes.
It's a 5.
GBD. You're right. It is a 5. GBD. Yep. It is a 5. Okay. What's the last one? G. Now, do you see a pattern? How these phrases, they tend to come right back around to the starting chord. So you saw that. That's very typical in our church music. This next one is something Andrea played. When I was working on this outline, Andrea played this for an offertory, and I was like, oh, I got to share that with the group here. I was just like, this is beautiful. Okay, first off, what I want you to see, this is an example of what type of chord. See how the chords go like that? What is this an example of? There's blocked and there's broken. Yes. Okay? Now, you could say, to some extent, this right here is blocked at the top. So here we've got blocked because they're stacked on, but this is broken chords going across. Okay? Now, Jose, I need you to not give any answers. I think you probably know where I'm headed with this.
Okay.
Don't give an answer. What key signature is this?
A minor?
What?
A minor?
Oh, yes, it is. A minor. Excellent. A minor. And that was, when Andrea played that on the piano, I was like, that was beautiful. To throw this into A minor, the color that it brought out in I Surrender All. I just thought that was just absolutely great. How are we doing on time?
8:16.
8:16. Okay. I got about 15 more minutes. Okay, let's look at Calvary. At Calvary is a hymn. If you study piano, it's usually the first hymn that your piano teacher will assign a person to learn. And let's analyze it right quick and see why that might be. So, what's the key that at Calvary's in?
Key of C.
Key of C. Yep. So it's all the white keys. Okay. What's the first chord?
C, D, G, C.
And that is a C chord. And it is a 1. Okay? And so if you look at it, the C chord keeps running until something weird happens right here in this column. What's going on here? You know what's going on. That's right. Okay. Back to C, 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 C. Ooh, what's going on here?
Same thing.
Yep, same thing. C chord. Now we change right here. It's no longer a C chord. What chord is this? This one, this one right here. What chord are we going to here? It's in a different position. It's not in a root position.
It's an F chord.
Yes, it's an F. F-A-C. And what position is that F-A-C chord in?
4. Oh, position. It's
plays a 4 chord. Okay, moving on, let's see, we got something possibly interesting here. What's this? Maybe not that interesting. What's that? Anything? Anything interesting there? Actually, there is something pretty interesting in there. What chord is that? Okay, let's look at our notes. Yes, yes. And did you say anything beyond the D? Did you say anything beyond the D? B, yeah, GBD. Or GBD. Yes. What's that F? What's that F? What note would the F be in that chord structure? G, B, D, F. What note would the F be in this? So you're right. This is there is a G here, but there's more than just.
Would that be the 7? So it's a G7?
Yes, it is. It's a G7. G, B, D, F. Five, 7. Pretty cool. Nice stuff. What's that? Just chord structure here.
Back to a C chord. No. Take it back.
G, B, E, G.
Oh. That's a E chord.
E, G, B.
E, G.
Yeah. Okay, and let's see, how am I doing on time? I don't want to take you too, okay, I got 9 minutes. I think what I want to do, okay, so basically, at Calvary continues around this thought of G, or the C, F, and G7. You'll see it basically is a 1, 4, 5, 7 type of song, and it just keeps moving through that with some non-harmonics. Okay, so that's what it is. All right, questions about what we've covered tonight. I'm gonna cut this part short, but questions about what we covered tonight.
I seem to be having trouble identifying the root of those chords when they're inverted. But
Okay.
can you think of it like you want the lowest, like if you're looking at the notes.
Yep.
If you look for the lowest alphabetical letter note, would that be the?
No, that won't work because like on a GBD, G would not be the lowest letter. You could think of it as far as a piano keyboard. And remember, what you're trying to do is you're trying to stack your chords or your notes in a pattern like this. So you're really trying to stack your notes in a pattern like this. Now that pattern may be all spread out, but you're trying to spell them where you've got your first note is, you're trying to find the lowest note where you've got this that looks like this, like 3 notes on the piano that are separated by what you see here, like a major, 1 major third, and 1 minor third.
Oh. So you're just looking for the way to arrange them such that each note is a third away from
Yes,
each other.
yes.
Okay.
And then depending upon how that lays out. It could be minor, minor third, or one minor third and a major third, or it could be a diminished, where you got two minors, minor thirds, and you're just trying to stack them up. And then the seventh, you're just stacking another one, another third above that, wherever I had the sevenths. So all we're doing is we're stacking another third on. And you see how that, so if you were looking at a piano, you'd just be, you know, if you're in a key of C, you'd be like every other white key. Does that help?
Yeah, you wanna, it's not, it's, I was incorrectly thinking of it like the lowest, the first letter of the alphabet, but it's actually, you want to arrange it so that each is a third away from the
Yes,
other.
yes. And after a while, for like, if you do this enough, it just kind of like pops, like, and you heard me ripping off GBD or DFA or ACE. You know, if you do it enough, it just, you just know that those are the combinations. You may know. All right. Any other questions?
I was just going to add to what you just said, that also helps you to figure out whether something is non-harmonic or not, because non-harmonic tones don't stack in thirds. When you find your chords, you're going to find your notes that do stack in thirds, and then you're going to find some notes within your measure that won't stack correctly in
Yes.
thirds. And
Good.
so those will help you to figure out, oh, this doesn't even belong to the chord, and then you can, I always circle them because that's always something that I was trained to do. So, and then it helps you to weed them out so that you can figure out where your chord is. You don't have to worry about those.
That's good.
Non-harmonic tones won't stack in thirds with the rest of them.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, here's your assignment. Make sure you go to this musictheory.net. Pastor's been there. Said he really liked it. Work the chord identification, chord construction, chord ear training also, because that's really good to be able to hear those. And then I've got a worksheet. So this Module 3 worksheet, I'd like for you to do that for next session. Basically, all I want you to do is exactly what's here. I want you to identify which type of triad this is of the four. Is it a major? Is it a minor? Is it a diminished? Is it an augmented? Or is it a mistake? There are some that are not real triads. Okay, so just go through that. Then on B, I want you to put the Roman numeral that corresponds to the key. Jose, you'll probably ask me, is it major or minor?
I always do.
Let's assume major. I'm trying to keep it simple for people. So let's assume these are all major key. Okay? Then C, I want you to do a few of these seventh chords. Same thing. I want you to go through, I want you to determine which type of seventh they are. Assume, no assumption here. Just which type of seventh they are. Major, minor, diminished, augmented, major with the minors. Okay, so figure that out. And then D, provide the name of the major key and the Roman numeral for each of these. Oh, I put the major in there for you, so I don't have to explain, assume major. So on D, I want you to just identify those, okay? And that's your worksheet. Any questions? I hope you guys are excited about chords, because I'm telling you, chords make the music. The melody carries the message. The rhythm keeps people in time, but the chords provide that color to the message. I'm telling you, it's good part writing is all about good chords and how you move the voices if it's vocal. Okay? And I will tell you, music is an incredible gift that God has given us. It is just incredible. And hopefully you can see some of the depth of that gift as we go through this stuff. And we're getting close to being done with it. Anything else?